In this unit of our InDesign CS6 course, we're going to place the logos that go on the front of our card flyer document. But before we get started, I need to point out that we're going to be making some common mistakes that occur as people are first learning to use InDesign CS6, as well as learn how to work our way past them when those type of things happen. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to accidentally place our logo on purpose on the master page of our InDesign CS6 document, as opposed to the document page, page 1, where we'd like that to appear on the front of our card flyer. To do that, we're going to go to the File pull-down menu, and we're going to select the Place command. We can see that the keyboard shortcut is listed over here as Command D. If you're working on a Windows system, the keyboard shortcut would be Control D. I'm going to click on that menu command, and when I do, it's going to bring me to the Place dialog box. If you're not there already, navigate your way to the Chapter 02 subfolder inside your project files InDesign CS6 Essentials folder that contains your class files. When you navigate your way there, select the Total Training CMYK outline.eps file. I'm just going to click on it once, because when I do that, it'll actually show a preview of the logo that I'll be placing on the page. I'm going to click on the Open command, and when I do, you'll see that my selection tool changes into a place gun. It shows a little paintbrush to let me know that I've picked up a graphic symbol, and it shows a grayed out version of that Total Training logo just below it. We're going to move our cursor to the top margin guide that we set for the second panel from the top, and to 1 1/4 inches on the horizontal ruler just above our document window. When we get to that spot, we're going to click the mouse button and place that logo on the page. Now, it's a little bit larger than we'd like that logo to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to place it at the lower right-hand corner anchor point. I'm going to hold down the Command and Shift keys since I'm working on the Mac. If you're on a Windows system, hold down the Control Shift keys and then press the mouse button to resize the graphic in the frame that it's placed in and move it to the right-hand margin just like so. You'll know you get to the right point because you'll see that little green highlight and that it's sitting right against the edge of that margin. When you get it to the correct point, let up on the mouse button first, and then let up on the Command or Control Shift keys that you use to scale the frame and the contents inside of it. Now, I've got that placed on the first page of my InDesign document, but unfortunately, because I put it on the master page, I've also got it placed on the second page of my InDesign CS6 document. As we explained in earlier units of this chapter of our InDesign course, anything you want to place on every page of your document, or almost every page of your document, should be placed on the master page. We're going to fix this and put that on just the first page of our InDesign document by double-clicking on that master page. We'll see it's highlighted because I can see the name is highlighted as well as the blue highlight for the proxy next to it. And then we're going to get our selection tool and click on that logo, go to the Edit pull-down menu, and use the Cut command. The keyboard shortcut for that on the Mac is Command X. On a Windows PC, that keyboard shortcut would be Control X. We're going to select that, and that'll remove it from our master page and place it on our system clipboard. We're going to double-click on page 1. I'll know that's highlighted because I can see it's in blue for the proxy, as well as reversed type for the page number right down here. We're going to go to the Edit pull-down menu, and we're going to select Paste in Place to put it in exactly the same location as it was previously in our master page. The keyboard shortcut for that is Command Option Shift V on the Mac, Control Alt Shift V if you're working on a Windows PC. And when I select that command, it'll place that logo on page 1, and you'll see it's no longer on page 2. So that's the first intentional mistake that we made and showed you how to get out of. If you accidentally place something on your master page you don't want, go to that master page, select it, cut it, and then navigate your way to the page where you want those elements to be. And use that Edit, Paste in Place menu command to put them in exactly the same location on your document page. We're going to make our second intentional mistake by selecting this Total Training logo so I can see those anchor points just like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to place the Total Training Online logo that goes on the top of the third panel of our InDesign document. So in this case, I'm going to once again go to the File pull-down menu. I'm going to select that Place command, keyboard shortcut Command D on the Mac, Control D if you're working on a Windows PC. And we're going to navigate our way to the Total Training Online CMYKOutline.eps. I'm just going to double click on this because what that will do is it will select that and click the Open button at the same time. So double clicking grabs me that cursor and drat. What I'll see is that my original logo has disappeared and I've placed a new one in its place. That's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to fix that by going Edit, Undo, Replace. And when I select that command, not only will it put the original logo back, but you'll see that it's turned my selection tool into a place gun, and it actually shows the logo I want to place next right there. This is such a common mistake that Adobe actually designed it so you could very quickly recover out of it by simply going Edit, Undo, or using the keyboard shortcut Command Z on the Mac, Control Z if you're working on a Windows PC. We're going to go to the top margin guide of that third panel from the top and align it once again at 1 1/4 inches on the horizontal ruler. When I click the mouse button, you'll see that it places that logo. We're going to scale this to fit, and I'm going to commit our third mistake that we're going to make by taking my cursor and placing it down at that lower right hand corner anchor point. Since I'm working on a Mac, I'm going to hold down the keys Command and Shift. If you're working on a Windows PC, you want to hold the Control and Shift keys down. Then use my mouse button to move this up and to the right. Now I'm going to make my third intentional mistake as I'm working with this. As I let up on the mouse button, it would place that perfectly. But if I let up on the Command and Shift keys first, it'll distort that logo. That's not what I wanted to do. As long as I hold my mouse button down, all I have to do is press those Command and Shift keys on the Mac, or Control Shift if I'm working on the PC, and it will scale the logo proportionately. Now, doing as I should have done, let up on the mouse button first, that logo will be set just like so. We have one more logo to place, and that is a reverse logo that goes on the back of our folded card format for the card flyer. But it's very hard to see a logo that's placed in white on a white background. So what I need to do first is I need to draw a dark color field behind that so we'll be able to see that reversed logo. I'm going to get my rectangle tool. If you don't see a rectangle tool, you see the ellipse tool or the polygon tool, all you have to do is hold your mouse button down on that tool button and select the option you want. In this case, we absolutely want the rectangle tool. So I'm going to select that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle across the top panel that goes on the front of our card flyer. I'm going to go to the upper left-hand corner of the bleed area that we defined. I'm going to hold the mouse button down and drag my cursor down and to the right to the point where it lines up on the fold line that we created for that top panel and the right-hand side of that bleed area. When I let up off the mouse button, it'll draw that rectangle with the default formatting of no background, so it's entirely hollow, with a black stroke written around it. We want to change that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my swatches panel and open that up. Now you'll notice when I open the swatches panel that it has a fill proxy and a stroke proxy that look just like those options over here on my tool panel. When you're working with colors in InDesign, you'll find that you have these proxies loaded somewhere in the panel, just like what we had before. Now it shows options for registration, which would print colors on every plate, paper, which is essentially white, and black by default. If I go to the bottom here and I hold the mouse button down, what I can do is I can actually drag this to see a number of colors that are automatically loaded in. I'm going to click on that fill proxy right there, and I can see that's in front because it cuts over the stroke one. And I'm going to give it this dark blue color fill right here of cyan 100%, magenta 90%, 10% yellow, and 0% black in that 4-color process. When I click on that, it turns that into a dark blue fill in the background. Now, I don't want that black stroke around this rectangle. So I'm going to go to the stroke proxy. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to give that stroke a color of none. You'll notice the moment I do that, it changes to 0 points in the control panel, just as we pointed out when you're working with the control panel in the first chapter of this InDesign CS6 course. Now that we've done that, I'm going to place that reversed logo. Although actually I'm going to make my last mistake that we're going to do in this unit of our InDesign CS6 course, because you'll see I still have my color field selected, that rectangle that we created for a background. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Command D. If you're on a Windows PC, you can use Control D. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the Total Training Logo Reversed.eps. Now if I click just once on it, you'll see that it shows a preview. Well, actually it doesn't show a preview because I've got white type on a white background. I'm going to say Open, and that's what that logo looks like. But I've got a problem. Because I had the rectangle selected, I can't move this logo very easily inside of it. We're going to set that out so I can arrange it separately by using that keyboard shortcut Command Z to undo on the Mac platform, Control Z if you're working on a Windows PC. And what that'll do is it'll take it out of that color background and place it as a separate graphic. So when I move that outside of the rectangle and I click, we'll see that we've got that logo. Well, actually, we can't see we've got that logo because, again, it's a white logo on a white background. If I get my selection tool and I move that in, I can now see that white type on the dark blue background. Now, if I set it just like this, I'm going to have a problem because when I fold the card over for our card flyer, that it's actually going to be upside down on the back of the business card. So I need to rotate this 180 degrees. That's very easy to do from my control panel. I'm simply going to go here and change that rotation from 0 to 180 and hit my Enter key. When I do that, it rotates it upside down, and I can move that to the lower right-hand corner, as this would be folded upside down, or in this case, the upper left-hand margin of my card flyer. And when I release it, we'll have placed all the graphics that we're going to use on the front of our business card flyer.